welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Welcome to Turn the Page. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Jim Butcher, author of books such as the DRESDEN FILES series, which I'm sure a lot of you know and love, the CODEX ALERA series, amongst many other works. We're really pleased to have him here, and welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, I was going to ask, I guess I wanted to start with probably, as maybe listeners to the podcast know, we are fans here of the series, and we've actually had a reading circle of
So this is where I get entertained. So my husband is a big fan of yours, and was like, you would really love Dresden Files. It's a great read. Like, I know you don't read like huge epic fantasies, but it's great. Like, get your toe in the water. And I was like, I'm never gonna listen to a recommendation from you again after the first book you recommended to me. I hated, so no. And then 3 coworkers were like, no, we're all reading Dresden Files. We're all on different books. One of them was rereading it for like the 3rd time.
Yes. And
I was like, you want to know what? I'll give it a try. If you 3 are reading it, must be good. And then I couldn't stop. And I've read all through. I pre-ordered your next one coming out. I'm super excited.
Question for you.
Good.
I want to ask about, urban fantasy. You've done urban fantasy. You've done epic fantasy. Mm-hmm. I've just started actually CODEX ALERA, The Furies of Calderon. I just started that. Enjoying it so far. Do you feel, besides the settings, do you feel more inclined toward urban fantasy or epic fantasy? Do you have a preference, or does it?
Oh, I set off to write, just swords and horses epic fantasy. My original intention was to go be the next Tolkien guy.
Okay.
Though I didn't have an RR, which apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, you have to have that.
But yeah, I only started writing the Dresden Files as a class project in college. And I was only writing it to prove to my writing teacher how wrong she was about everything she was trying to teach me.
All right.
I was like one of those college students that had no problem arguing with professors and so on, even when I manifestly should not have been. And so one of the things that I did, I decided one semester I'd been taking writing classes from her for several semesters. This was Deborah Chester, who taught in the professional writing department at the University of Oklahoma. And she was trying to teach me really, really useful and practical things about writing, and I kept rejecting them because I had a bachelor's degree in English literature, with an emphasis in creative writing. So I knew what I was talking about, whereas, she had merely published 40 novels. So, yeah.
Number.
Yeah, exactly. So one semester I decided in her writing a genre fiction novel class that I was going to prove her wrong, and I was going to do it by just doing absolutely everything she told me to do. I was going to do all her little worksheets and her little exercises and fill out her little forms to outline scenes and everything. And then I would show her the results of that, and what cookie cutter pablum crap would emerge from that kind of process. And I wrote the first book of the Dresden Files, which showed her.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
look where it's come.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was all an accident. I mean, honestly, I didn't set out to do this. I was writing a dumb little wizard book to prove a point in class, and it got completely out of hand.
I always thought kind of a weird. I don't know how it came up, but the term urban fantasy. When I think urban, I just think it's not like all these books take place in cities. It's all kind of like different. It's just modern world. That's all.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know. I always thought that was weird.
Oh, I mean, I honestly think that urban fantasy is kind of a return to form for the fantasy genre. Going back to the Grimms. It's just that instead of our fantasy tales being set in the forest, in the literal forest, the way the Grimms were, because that's where everybody lived at that time. At this point, they're set in the cities or in somewhere that is, where we live. It's a small town, it's a suburb. But yeah, I think urban fantasy is I don't think it's the outstanding weird fantasy. I think what we think of as typical Tolkien-esque fantasy did that. I think Tolkien just made that big a splash last century.
Right. One thing actually is that what I do like about your series, also all of them, is that they're very manageable,
they're easily digestible.
It's a nice size. I find a lot of books these days, and I know this has been debated ad nauseum, the doorstopper fantasy books, the ones that are just massive. And I mean, God bless anybody who likes them. God bless anybody who writes them. Fine. It's just to see something that massive and be like 20 books on it.
Well, it's intimidating when you have a giant book like that. Like I'm right. I like doing a lot of buddy reading clearly because I did another one. I'm reading The Stand by Stephen King, and I'm like, wow. I mean, you could sort of see it's the really thick book in my background that you could see.
Yeah.
But I'm listening to it because that's easier for me. But I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't know if I could do another one of these. That's why like I hold off on continuing like the Outlander series or Game of Thrones.
Right.
But like with the Dresden Files, like it just you get so absorbed in the world, and Ralph's done both the audiobooks and physical books or ebooks too. Yeah. My husband did the ebooks. I did all the audio. I was like, oh, we're doing this. And I fell in love with it all because I just prefer audiobooks in general. But I'm just like, oh, I'm breezing through. Like, let's go. I mean, I did physical books of the short story collections you've done for it. But I also know some of those are also recorded. So I'm like, oh, pull it up on the phone. Let's do it in the car.
Yeah. Marsters does such a great job with those recordings too. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah, I saw him at Comic-Con. It's 2025, 2019. And I was like, oh, like, you know, at the time I was pregnant with my son, so I'm wearing like a giant Kool-Aid shirt showing off my pregnant belly. I was just like, oh, pleasure me. Like, you know, I'm a huge fan of you from Buffy and from other stuff you said. And I was like, my husband also loves you as a narrator of Jessica. And he just went off in some of the voices, and I was like, I should have recorded this.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, but it's great. So I pre-ordered 12 months. I'm so excited.
Did he give you a Fozari?
No, I don't think he. I gotta go back to my memories.
Okay.
My world's been changed since motherhood and pandemic.
Sure.
But one of my questions to you is: do you prefer to read books, audiobooks, Kindle, or ebooks, what have you? Do you have a preference?
My absolute preference is for a booky book. You know, an actual book, old style. I'm honestly, I think you have better recall for what you're reading, just because you've got a little bit more sensory input going on. You know, as far as this is where I am in the book and where the pages are under my fingers and so on. That said, most of my books are still in storage back in KC, and so I wind up, you know, toting my Kindle library of all my old friend books that I read over and over again around with me.
Oh, nice.
So, and I read those on Kindle. And then occasionally when there's long drives, because I drive back to visit family in Kansas City from Denver, and that's 9 hours straight across Kansas, you know, and you got to do something to stay awake or you won't. So, you know, that's audiobook territory there.
So after so many successful books and the decades now, is there part of writing or that still challenges you? You still feel challenged by the process, or you feel like I got this?
Oh, yeah. The process itself is challenging. I mean, just, you know, you sit down and it's just you, and, you know, you're sitting down by yourself and you've got to, you know, come up with everything yourself. And you're basically, I've got to come up with a movie where I'm the director and all the actors and, you know, the producer, and I've got to be the one to be the production designer and decide on everything and figure out how I'm going to, you know, do the mood. So I'm the lighting guy as well. And, you know, and that's just kind of the job as a writer. And it's a big job. It's a lot of things to juggle all at once. So, you know, when you're sitting there writing, you know, you're not just thinking about, you know, what's the next word that's coming off the keyboard. You know, you're also thinking about, okay, how do I set up the mood? How do I manage expectations of the readers, you know, indirectly, so that, you know, they'll be expecting one thing and they'll get another, and then it'll be a nice surprise. And, you know, and that's the sort of thing that, you know, takes up all my time when I'm actually sitting down writing. Going word to word is actually the easy bit. It's making all these other choices and figuring out what you're doing while you're doing that makes it hard. And you know, my temperature always goes up when I'm writing. It always goes up a couple of degrees. I'm overclocking my processor.
No, I like the way that you put it, that you're the director, like the lighting person, setting up the scene. And I think it really shows in your writing, because it is very like encompassing. Like I can imagine it. Like I know there was the TV show briefly for it, which my husband watched because he started watching it when I fell asleep, and I was like, that's not really fair. But
right.
I mean, you could easily envision it, whether a TV, movie, like in a format that way, and it comes across like that. So I think that adds to why people love the series so much, because they can dive into this world. It's, you know, it's got the urban fantasy of like, oh, it's kind of like our time. I recognize things like when we went to Chicago, I was like, oh my God, we're visiting like everywhere Harry was, like, and I was like, calm down. And I was like, but we're in the museum. And I was like, oh, it's the shit. Like, I was like, ooh. And I mean, it was nice to kind of be like, oh, I could see that like in real life. I'm not, you know, trying to find the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
Right.
Like something that isn't real. But I think your writing just like brings the reader in, and they're with Harry, or they're with Thomas, or, you know, any of the characters, and there's such a variety of them, whether, you know, you've got your mainstays that are throughout multiple of the books, or, you know, just like, you know, they pop up here and there, but they last with you, and you really get to feel for them, and I think that's awesome.
Great. I liked one of the, I believe it was one of the characters, I'm trying to remember who it was, I think, it was Molly, who in the beginning she kind of screwed up and then she messed. I love the way you did that, where you had, she was trying to force somebody out of addiction, trying to use her magic to get somebody out of the addiction, and it's like, no, you never do that.
Yeah.
Damn it! I was like, wow, that's really
like everything
stayed with me ever since.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but okay.
I like the morality that you have throughout it, and the choices that people make. That choices have like consequences, so to speak. Where, you know, for every action there's a reaction. Like, and I just think of oh my God, the Once Upon a Time series of what's his face? Magic Comes the Price.
Yeah.
Like Jerry,
right,
like,
right.
But I was just like, yeah, like, you know, it's not all bells and whistles and like beautiful things. Like there's also sometimes darker, like grimmer parts to it, and that is realistic. It really speaks to, you know, the human experience.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what we all go through. You know, there's the parts of life that are a little bit Disney and parts of life that aren't so much, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character in the series?
Oh, the ones that I love to write most, I love writing Mab. You know, she's a figure who's just such an outsider to humanity. She knows it so well, but also kind of doesn't understand anymore, you know, on a visceral level. So, you know, writing that character, because she can do absolutely anything. She's really got no limits except the ones that she imposes on herself, you know. And so having a character that can, you know, that can beat up Harry Dresden, you know, kind of out of nowhere in an elevator. Yeah, all right. I'm happy to do that. That's a fun character to write. I love writing Bob the Skull for much the same reason.
He's great. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's kind of this, you know, he's this outsider figure who's never even had a real body of his own, you know, so he has a much different perspective on life than the rest of us do. And then the other character I enjoy writing the most is probably John Marcone. You know, he's kind of been running around as Batman in the Justice League for a while now, you know, and it's fun to write him because Harry can't stand him, but Marcone also embodies a bunch of characteristics that Harry kind of wishes he had. You know, Harry kind of wishes he was as reliable as Marcone is, you know, because Marcone is reliable. I mean, you can rely on him to do what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And so you know, it's always fun writing that because I'm kind of writing, you know, Harry Dresden's jealous little brother to older brother Marcone in a lot of ways. You know, I mean, he would never actually acknowledge he would never consciously acknowledge the admired things about him, but he does. And, you know, and that's why they can, you know, occasionally get along on something.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite character?
Well, I mean, least favorite characters typically get murdered. You know, I can do that. I mean, you know, it is kind of my world, you know, my little universe that I built, and I just have to hope that the multiple universe theory isn't true, because if it is, then that means that universe exists out there somewhere, and out there somewhere is a Harry Dresden who's going to pop me in the mouth if he ever finds out about it.
Do you have when you write, do you have like a Dresden Files Bible that you know,
like a guidebook?
Like a guidebook that, all right, I said this in this novel, so I'll make sure I don't say it in this novel, or this character did this.
Well, I can always do searches back through my original material, you know, to look for things if I need to. I've got several beta readers who are very focused, who are very detail oriented, and very focused on those things, and they're incredibly helpful. And then if all else fails, I cheat and I go check the Wikipedia. Because
Nice.
I mean, I have kind of a Bible and my character sheets and so on that, you know, I made for the characters as I was going. But at some point I realized, oh my gosh, the fans do this Wikipedia so much harder than I ever would, you know, because I'm just doing this for work and they're doing it for fun. You know, so the fan Wikipedia, I mean, it's all cross-referenced and everything. I can just go.
Yeah, it's intense.
Like, okay, I can keep these details consistent. Excellent.
Right.
I love when that happens though, because then like sometimes I'm like, wait, like did I miss this at one thing? Because sometimes, like you said, you don't always get everything with the audio. But I'm like, I need to go back and either steal my husband's Kindle or just like take out the physical book from the library I work at and be like, wait, let's go back.
This again, who's that?
I wrote the books to be reread. I mean, I wanted to write these books for readers, you know, for people who do like I do and have books that become friends and go everywhere with you, you know. And so that way, when you're rereading, I tried to write it so that when you go back through, when you know things that are going to happen in the future, you'll be able to see where I planted them earlier on. Like the little stuff. And, you know, little things like that, I think they add a lot to books. They add a lot to kind of the magical experience of books, you know, where, you know, you realize at some point, oh my gosh, he said this about Butters all the way back here. You know, it's like, I did.
There was a TV show a bunch of years ago. I remember that the first TV show to do that, which was Babylon 5, where by like season 5, you're like, oh, so that you know, little thing when that guy did that, and then you do that.
And that was where I learned my writing craft, was watching Babylon 5. I mean, I was going to school with Deborah Chester, and I was watching B5 for the writing, and you know, with several other aspiring writers at the time. And, you know, we were just focused on that show and all the different stuff. And as things got paid off, we were just like, oh, you know, we gathered together every week to watch it. And it was just amazing.
Yes.
Oh, that's so nice.
There's a scene when Sheridan, the good guy, is in trouble. He's about to get destroyed by the Earth Alliance. And then Minbari, his girlfriend, Delenn, shows up with a Minbari fleet, which is like, I'm getting really deep.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I remember every time I've ever been watching a show, I'll be like, you know.
I now need to watch the show.
Oh no,
that's Charge of the Rohirrim territory. Awesome rescue. It was amazing. The best part about that show, I think, was that they had Delenn was this character who was such this powerful and dynamic figure within the plot, and they never made her less than feminine either to do it. You know, I mean, she was going forward and driving through all this stuff, and yet, you know, she kind of maintained this sort of grace and poise and this sort of otherworldly authority, which it was really difficult to pull off. And you had to have somebody who was, you know, a really good actor to pull that one off. And Mira, I forget her last name, but she was it. Mira Furlan, she was it. Yeah, she did a great job with that.
She did. Everybody.
I also think that the villain of that series is a character named Londo Mollari, and people gasp when I say he's the villain, but he's the one. It's his actions that cause everything that goes wrong. And he is the most likable villain you've ever seen. He's one of the greatest science fiction villains ever. And I really think he does not get enough credit. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Very much. I could start going on Babylon 5, but this turns into about Babylon 5. That show can be talked about for. So with all this, I saw you took like about a 6-year break in between novels. Is it time to recharge, or cause usually you're pumping them out really very consistently on the year? Is that was that sort of like kind of like I need to like take a break for a bit?
Oh, that was personal life stuff that went on.
I understood.
And you know, and trying to get everything resettled. You know, it was a divorce after a 23-year marriage, and
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it was rough for everyone. But you know, getting resettled after that was really difficult, and trying to, you know, kind of find my identity again, because I was no longer, you know, writing to support my kid and you know, writing to support a family. It's just like, okay, well, how do I rebalance this? How do I become a different person? And you know, I've been learning that. But you know, recently I've been going, but you know what? I'd like to make some money too. So I mean, I've really been picking up on the writing, you know, and so on. So, you know, the next book after the one that's after 12 months, the next book's called Mirror Mirror, and I'm about 30% of the way done with that one.
Wow.
And so, I want to have it done. Hopefully I can. I don't think I can have it done by the time I get to the tour, because that's coming up pretty fast. But I should be able to have it done by, you know, Valentine's Day anyway.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, which is my goal. Yeah, I'm going to come back after the holidays and really start hitting things hard and get some work done.
Excellent. Okay. Awesome.
Do you plan, like, because you mentioned how you have to like plan stuff to how you figure out writing? Do you plan like, oh, okay, you're going to work on Dresden Files, or then like another series or a new series? Like, do you have that kind of mapped out in your head, or it's just like wherever you kind of feeling the muse drawing you?
I kind of feel like it depends. I mean, I want to write Dresden Files because those are the ones that the most people get to the most people. So those are the ones that I want to work on. But I also don't want to burn out on them. So when I starting to feel like I'm getting burned out on it, then it's like, okay, you know what, Harry, you need to go away for a while. I'm going to go over and play with all these other people for a bit, and you give me space. And I'm going to, do this other stuff and this other story. And then after I get done with that, I'll be like, oh, and the other story is always one that I write in third person. Dresden Files is written first person. And so by the time I'm done with a third person story, which I think is a lot harder to write, if only because you have so many more options of how you can tell the story and so many more different plays you can make that you can't do in a first person narrative as well. So, you can have one character be aware of something, one character not be aware of something, and use that to be building tension with the audience in a third person. And so you have so many more options, which is to say so much more rope with which to hang yourself writing a book like that by the time I get done with one, it's just such a relief to go, oh, okay, I'm going to go back to first person writing with Harry Dresden, and here we go. It's going to be, I'm going to get back in the saddle with Harry. I know how to make all these choices. I can focus on all these different areas of the craft that I don't have to in third, or that I have to focus on other things when I'm in third person. So it's so much easier and so much more fun by the time I get done with one of those books. I get back to Harry Dresden. It's like, okay, great, we're working together again, buddy. Good to see you. And that's kind of how I keep from burning out on the books.
Okay,
good.
I guess something I'm wondering, like, what we did here is that we were all reading the series. Is we sort of fan cast the series ourselves.
Yeah.
We had the whole 5 of us here at the library saying, who would play this character, who would act their actress.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you get that a lot from fans.
Well, I have to fan cast like from around time. I can't really do modern stuff as well. So I fan cast from around time, and Harry Dresden, I want to have played by about Empire Strikes Back era Harrison Ford.
Yep. Ooh. Yeah.
That's who I'd cast as Dresden. Let's see. Morgan. We'll just start early. Morgan is a character that I would want Clancy Brown to play, because he was originally written as the Kurgan if the Kurgan aged and got older. Because that was who he was based on when I was writing him.
Okay.
Let's see.
I've seen Highlander. I thought, ooh.
Yeah.
Blood Brown.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to think who I would cast as Murphy. I would probably have gone with Gabrielle from Xena. I think she had the perfect look for that. Yeah, and I think she could have played that tough character real well. That would have been very cool. But yeah, I mean, I kind of just go through with stuff like that, picking characters. All the older wizards are going to be the older actors. Mostly with sirs in front of their name. Or Dame. I'm Dame Judy can come along and play one of the older wizards too if she wants to. I'm fine with that.
I get that. I feel like she'd have a blast with that.
Oh yeah, they'd have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, this was a couple of years ago, because one of our coworkers literally had like a spreadsheet with like photos from IMDb of like, all right, this is who we think. Wait, who do you think would be Laura? Or who do you think would be this? And I mean, like one of the ones Ralph said, like he could see Nathan Fillion as Dresden.
Yes, that was what I thought.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he could do that.
He was like the humor of his and whatnot.
Marina Baccarin as Susan Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she could do that.
I was wondering. I remember her name. Who did we put her down?
Yes.
Yeah, when they were casting for the show, it came down to a couple of actors for Dresden, and they wound up going with Paul Blackthorne, who was the one finalist, but the other finalist was Jane from Firefly, Adam Baldwin.
Oh my God!
And they were like, yeah, he could have been Dresden, and then they would have made him more of a bulldoggy Dresden who got beat up a lot. But they thought that Paul Blackthorne could kind of do the dark side of the personality a little bit better, so they went with that.
Okay.
But yeah, that would have been that was cool though. I got to go and visit while they were on the set. That was a lot of fun.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's so nice.
Is there anything you think in the future coming up, live action or otherwise? You think?
Well, the books are out right now with a guy who is a producer who's done a bunch of stuff, who is a fan and who wants to be the showrunner. And I've read the first script, and it's fairly. I mean, it's more loyal to the books than I have any right to expect, honestly, these days. But I'm signed on as an executive producer. We'll see if anything happens. It's one of those situations where my writing teacher told me early on, don't get excited about anything that happens in Hollywood. Nothing is final until the check is cleared.
Right.
Just getting the check is not enough. It's not until the check is cleared that you know things are going to happen. So don't get excited about it. So I have been managing my expectations, but we're further along in the process than we've been before. And it's possible we'll get a pilot. We'll have to see.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. I like it as a TV series because I feel like series you could do. You explore a lot more, like a movie.
And the guy who's putting this together, he did a really good job of looking at the books and saying, this is the story I want to tell, and it's essentially about a book a season. And he was like, this book would be good, this book would be good, this book would be good. And I'm like, oh, you're right. Those are some of the high points of the series, definitely. I mean, it's like, this is somebody who knows what they're doing, as far as writing stories goes. And so I'm excited. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll go, maybe it won't.
Okay.
I know you've brought up in like previous interviews and articles that you don't see it run like super long. Like, I mean, like we had a title swap at work where recommending stuff and one staff member's doing Discworld, and that's like up to like 43 books or something like now. That we were thinking of like 20 or so books for Dresden Files, and then maybe like the ending trilogy, the big apocalyptic trilogy of Doom.
Yes. Yes, that one.
So are you still like on that plan, or do you think there might be like, instead of like 20, maybe like 25 plus a trilogy?
It's going to be 22 plus 3. It's going to take me 22 books to get all the story out that I wanted to get out before the finale. And that's just because I've never written a series this long before, so I'm new at this.
Right.
But it's still awesome. I mean, you gathering fans all the time with each new book that comes out.
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. And I'm very fortunate in the people who have chosen to like my books. They're good fans. It's a good fan base.
Good.
Do you get a lot of people like telling you like, oh my God, I write fanfic, or like, I love this, you should do a spin-off of? Not
a whole ton like that. If only because, legally speaking, I think authors are still sort of vaguely obligated to defend their copyright if somebody comes up and just waves fanfic in their face. Although I also think that it's the stupidest thing in the world to bring lawsuits against your most avid fans, because those are the people who are, who are most going to be proselytizing your work to their friends, the ones who are that fanatic and happy about it. So, mostly there's sort of a gentleman's agreement of I don't know of any fan fiction of the Dresden Files. I'm unaware, and that makes everybody happier.
Okay. So the Jedi mind trick, there is no fan fiction. It's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Do you have any more questions?
Do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell you this. This is probably the best time in history to be an aspiring writer.
Right.
I really think it is, because at this point, you can write a book, you can get it published, you can get it put on some of the websites of some of the biggest book vendors on the internet, and start gathering an audience for yourself. I mean, you do have to learn a few things about marketing and so on, and how to build and maintain a fan base. But I mean, that's just sort of basic business information, but it's something that you can learn. But you can do all that and not be gatekept by anyone at all. My wife is author Jennifer Blackstream. She's been completely independent her whole career. She's also turning out the 18th book in her urban fantasy series this year, and she has done everything completely on her own. Was making a good living for herself and her kids.
Wow.
When we met, she's good and all. She really is. And she did a lot of writing before she got to this series as well. She wrote a lot of romances and so on. But if you are willing to put in the work, this is the best time to do it. I mean, and don't think about going out and competing with me or with Sanderson or with other writers like that. That's not your job as a writer as you're coming out. The only people you're competing with are the people who are right around you, sort of in your class, as it were. The folks who decided to start writing about the same time you did. And so, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like running away from a bear. You don't have to be faster than the bear.
Yeah,
just faster than the guy next to you. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So as long as you stick with it, and you're only continuing to maintain your discipline and your practice in your craft and improving your skills about how to write a good story, and going out and finding out what people have to say about writing stories and incorporating their work into your stuff, observing other people's writing and being able to say, well, how does Pratchett pull off that joke? Because he does it over and over. And, and figuring that out and saying, okay, now I can make a Pratchett joke, and as long as you're continuing to do that kind of thing, eventually you're going to be better than all the other people who started around the same time you did, and you're going to be able to win through. Because people quit real easy in the writing business. Everybody thinks it's an easy job. You can just go do it and it'd be great. And it's like, well, it gets to a point where it's an easy job as you go along, or at least an easier job. But when you're getting started, it takes an awful lot of focus, an awful lot of dedication, and it's a marathon. You kind of have to start learning how to run marathons. Every time you write a book, it's a long project. But
really
persistence is the number one trait you need to be a writer. It's not even talent. As long as you can kind of vaguely use the English language, you're going to be all right. They got all kinds of help for that sort of thing now. But really, what you need to be is to be persistent.
Good advice, everybody.
Yeah. If you're an aspiring writer, listen up to this episode.
Yes. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Happy holidays to y'all.
Happy holidays to you too.
We're wearing ugly holiday sweater day, so I went with business Santa.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys look great.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
have a good day.
All right.
Take care.
Y'all have a good day.
Close this chapter. Turn the page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.